ready?
Yeah.
Okay, so all these parking areas that we have around the park, they're actually part of a water detention program.
Okay.
So we have to retain all of our stormwater on site. These are things that never happened before. So before, all that stormwater did is just go somewhere. And generally it went off site or it went onto site and flooded the site. So if you recall, in the areas around the park during the rainy season, it was a swampland.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just couldn't go out there at all. And so now we have a managed stormwater system, and we're required to do that as development. So that's a very expensive piece. And we could do something like a detention pond, basically, but that takes up valuable park space. And so for us to do it with a permeable parking area and the way the water flows and everything like that, this will catch most of the water. And then we have a reservoir underneath that'll hold it and then slowly release it into the stormwater system. So these are things that people don't see.
Okay.
So that this ability to retain stormwater and treat it naturally, so that treatment then it's just filtration by gravel, but it does allow it to go directly into the system without any additional treatment. So oils and things like that are then filtered through and filtered out. So this is good stuff, but it's incredibly expensive. And so it adds a lot of money to the project and a lot of time. And it's just not a hodgepodge development, but is intentional for us to do these things. And we're standing right now on a walkway, and this walkway will be all the way connected around the park. So now you'll have the ability to walk around the park. And it is all ADA accessible. Every part of the sidewalk is. So as we look behind us, you can see an elevation change right here. We cross this elevation change to get to the other side of the park. And so for us to get there, we need to keep the elevation at a less than a 2% grade. And so people ask, hey, there's a lot of concrete out here. Well, yes, but it makes the park fully accessible to ADA. And as a public facility, we think it's very important to have that for the public, all the public, and not just some haphazard approach to allowing people with mobility issues to use parts of the park. No, you can use all of the park. Yeah, so it's really nice to see. And again, another expensive piece of this puzzle and time consuming, and it also took away some of the green space. But it does give the accessibility, which I think is vital, and I know we have to do it, and we should do it as a public facility.
And we also have an aging community as well.
We do, but so it is actually dropping. It's going the other way. It's currently going the other way. Yeah. But we still want to service that all those historic folks in town, you know, and that really did build this town. So we want to be there for them. But we are in a cusp, interestingly enough, we're in a change in demographics. We're right at that edge of it dropping. Yeah. And so we're trying to accommodate those needs for those folks that have been here forever and should have their needs met, as well as the needs for the next half a generation and full generation. So it's a real challenge to meet all those things.
To change that to be like, this is what we have right now. We have a big need for this. But then it's going to be dropping, and then then people will have strollers and children,
and on all those other things.
Can run,
and they want kind of different things. You know, they don't necessarily need to sit as much and enjoy a concert or something. They maybe want more activity.
Well, it would be nice when you say, like, I could come out here and just go all around the park, and I'd feel safe. I'd be in an open space with, not. I mean, I love the trails, but sometimes it's not.
It's not as accessible. You're down here for lunch. You're down here for lunch. After lunch, you walk around the park.
Stroll around the park.
In the evening, we put in lights in the parks all the way around the pathway, and you can kind of see the poles going around. All the way around the pathway and to all the facilities. These lights are there. Now they are LED. They're top end lights. We don't have a lot of light spillage or light escaping off the site. It's not bright. Yeah, it's a very small footprint for the light.
So you can see where you're going.
Exactly. And they actually are timed, and they're motion sensitive. So we haven't implemented that yet. We're going to still test it. But I think what can happen is this, let's just say for some reason you're walking out here at 11:30 at night. The lights are probably off, but when you walk by them, they'll come on.
And that's I like that. That is
it makes it really nice. We haven't tested that yet. We're still waiting for some other things to happen before we test it.
So you can't come out to the park and sneak
around.
Well,
you can't really. No, you can't. And also good for security.
Yeah, it's good for security.
So we'll head up to the upper part here. So a couple of things about the park that we had. This park was, again, created in 1940s, and it was even in existence a little bit before that. And there was really no rhyme or reason to the development of the park. It came in different parcels.
Right.
And we even had some road right-of-ways through it. For an example, right behind, in front of me here, where the sidewalk arches around, that was a road right-of-way. And underneath that was a water line.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and they put those in road right-of-ways. Yeah. It made sense, right? So one of the main water lines for this part of the village was right through here in the park. Of course, we didn't want that in the park, because if you have a problem with the water, you got to dig the park up. Right. And we have hard surface, soft surface, all kinds of things in here. So we wanted it back out in the road. So lucky for us, the Fair Oaks Water District understands. They shared with us the work and the cost to be able to move the water line back out into the road. So now the water line is in the road. Interestingly enough, around that too, was the fact that underneath, the pipe underneath the main was an asbestos pipe. Yeah, and they were no longer allowed, of course. There's no real harm in using them, but once you disturb them, there's a lot of harm. So we abandoned it in place and moved the water line with current materials and conditions out into the roadway. That was a big deal, because what it does now, it creates, again, water for those next generations. Right. 3 things that we did for the next generations and for Fair Oaks. We did the water with the help of Fair Oaks Water District. I should say 4. We're going to be repaving the road. So for the community, we redid the power system for this part of the village, not just us, but this part of the village. So now for the next bunch of years, it's going to be adequate for them. And then we also did sewer. So we also did the sewer lines, the same thing. So we created all these infrastructure things that you don't see. Right. All of our lines, our power lines, are buried. They're all underground. Right. So we don't have any overhead lines. So people really don't understand when they, like when is it going to be done? They didn't realize all of the different things that you had to do, and the cost and the time. And the time and all the permitting. You got water districts, you got sewer districts, you got utility districts. All of those people have fingers in this puzzle. And they're all messing with it, and they're all inspecting it, and they're all going through it. Yeah, but it's good though. Yeah. I mean, they're all good to work with. I'm not complaining at all. But if we didn't do it right, it would have to be redone at some other time. So this was the opportunity to go all in. And I love the fact that we're doing that for the community as well as for the park. So it has a lot to do with that. And the consolidation of the properties here, as I was talking earlier, this was 4 parcels. This park was 4 parcels, individual parcels. Mm-hmm. That is really hard to basically take care of. One of the parcels we didn't own, yet we had been managing and maintaining it. So that was where the salon was? It was right here. Oh, over here. Okay. Right here on this corner. We didn't own this. Nobody could find the owner. Oh, no. We had been maintaining and managing, landscaping, doing all those things for decades. And when we finally went through the consolidation process, it's like, who owns it? We tried to find, we couldn't. So basically, we took it on squatters' rights. Legally, we took it. And so it's now in our hands, but we took it on squatters' rights. That is actually the ability to do that if you have been using it, maintaining it, and managing it with no conflicts for so many years. I don't know what it is, but anyway, we are enough years. So it's kind of fun that we went through that process, but that was a year-long process. It was going on simultaneously as the project, but it was a huge process to do. So now this is one park. And so we have one parcel, which again helps in the long run. Right. So if you've been in the clubhouse before, I'm going to have to tell you what you should remember. If you and I were talking in the old clubhouse, it would echo. It would echo like crazy. And now we can talk, we can jump up and down. We got a little rattle over there, but we can jump up and down, we can dance, we can have big events in here, and we've got a sound containment system in here. You don't see that. You don't hear it because you think this is how it should be. But it never was like this. And so up here, all of that white are sound bafflers of the entire roof or ceiling, I mean. So it's amazing what it does to the facility. You can tell it's and so having a meeting in here, it'll be awesome. It's going to be great. Because I remember we had all of our luncheons. Yeah, we had a ton of things in here, and it was terrible for acoustics, but it's so nice. And again, these are the things that people won't see, and you probably won't remember it you may not even appreciate it, but it will be good.
Right.
It'll be good. Now, we also did all of the HVAC, all the heating and cooling systems. Those are all redone. We'll see those in the back in a bit. And so all of that infrastructure, it's still the old piping and stuff. We love that piping, so we left it up there, that industrial look. The clubhouse itself doesn't change a whole heck of a lot, except for things like the sound, the heating and cooling, the insulation around the windows, the entrance, the lights, the fire suppression, all those things that are just good for a building to have. It would have been more affordable to tear this building down.
But it has so much.
It is iconic. I like to think of this as our Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, we're just Fair Oaks, but I'll take the clubhouse as our Golden Gate Bridge. It's iconic.
Here,
yeah. And so it's going to look the same. It's going to feel the same, sort of, but if you remember back, it won't. And again, this facility now is all ADA compatible or compliant. So you're able to use this no matter what your mobility issue is. Over here by the stage, we used to have 2 sets of stairs, one on the right and one on the left. Now the one on the left is a lift. So there's a lift going in there that'll allow someone who's maybe using a chair or has some other mobility issues to access the stage. And very, very important.
And it's large enough for a big wheelchair.
Exactly. And it has to meet all those requirements for backup and for turn radius and all those other things that we have for ADA. The other thing that's in here is the sound and lighting system, the AV system. Instead of just kind of some haphazard plug-in, you bring your speakers in and you got, a mess of stuff, and you're got some crummy speakers with maybe a mic. Yeah. This is good stuff in here. So the AV pieces, just the ancillary parts of it, not the wiring, not all the stuff upstairs in the ceiling and the walls and all of that, just the hardware components was over $1 million.
Wow.
That's for all the facilities. So again, that brings this thing into a usability, and for people to really come in and use and get excited about using. They may never remember back what it was, but going forward, you'll go, that's a great place to have a meeting.
What I'm noticing too is it had the old building smell to it.
Yeah, now it just has a dusty smell.
But it doesn't
Construction.
have that. It doesn't have that.
Yeah, it doesn't have that musk smell. Yeah. And we'll be redoing the floor. The floor is going to stay wood. We're protecting it now with some cardboard type of stuff here, so we don't destroy it while we're working. But it'll get redone before we open, and all of that stuff. So anyway, that's the clubhouse, and it's kind of I think it's a unique feature, and I think the public's just going to go, wow, this is great once we finish it up.
So how is it going to be to use it? Is it going to be do you think the Rotary Club or?
I'm hoping the Rotary Club comes back. Yeah, we're giving them what we call a partner deal. They're a community partner with us. They get a certain price point. The board approved it last month. I think it's pretty affordable. I hope they're back here. We'd love to see them in here. We think they're an important element of the village and the community and this facility.
Right, especially even with the Fair Oaks Theater Festival. What is it for St. Patty's Day?
Yeah. We want to see those kind of community events in here.
Happening again, and the father-daughter dance.
Right. Yeah. So we hope all those things kind of come back, and then we also have classes in here, and we have maybe a wedding, celebration of life, those kinds of things in here.
That would be good.
Yeah.
You can even have somebody do classes in here like yoga.
Yeah. So we hope for those kinds of things too. So we're working on them. It's a slow ramp up. That kind of stuff's a slow ramp up.
Right.
Because what we have to do is get our feet underneath us, make certain that the systems are all working, make sure that the public's agreeing to how this thing works, and if they don't, what kind of tweaks can we make to make it all what everybody wants and needs. It won't meet everybody's wants and needs, but we want to meet as many as possible.
Because it has to be utilized in a way that it supports itself.
Exactly.
Also, you want to make sure that you're meeting the needs of the public, that they can afford to use it.
Right.
Feel good about it.
Right. And we're supported by tax dollars, of course. And people will say, hey, I already paid taxes. Why do I have to pay to use the facility? Well, that's correct. You do pay taxes. But there's those extra costs that we don't receive enough tax money for, whether it be cleaning, whether it be maintenance, whether it be lights, whether it be all those other things. Yes, the facility was paid for. But there's the operational cost that still has to somehow come into this. We don't look at it as a profit. That's what we don't look at it as. What we look at is reducing the subsidy that the taxpayers pay to operate this facility. We can't operate this facility without additional support. It won't happen.
So that's good to know, and it's good for all the organizations to understand that even if I don't know what it was like before, but if there's changes, it's all for the better, and it's to maintain it and keep it going.
Yeah, that's what we hope for. Yeah, and be able to maintain at the level necessary to keep it at the standard that it's usable for the public, and not let it get sliding down into a place.
And you'll never be able to please everybody.
No, we won't. No.
So you just do your best.
Yeah, we do what we can, and it's hard because I agree with the public when they say that.
Right.
Except for the fact I also have to manage the budget.
Right. Exactly. And it's that way all across the board for everything.
Yeah. I mean, you go to state parks and you pay for camping.
Right.
Same thing. So not much different. So as I was talking about accessibility, you can get into this building, through this building, use all of the elements of the building. Again, no matter what your ability, your mobility issues are. For an example, the drinking fountains, you can see the different heights there. We also have a wide alcove there, and that allows for a wheelchair to turn around. You have enough turnaround space and everything like that to get in here, so someone doesn't have to back you out. You're able to have that dignity of being able to do it on your own if you're capable. So the bathrooms themselves too are all fully ADA. I'm just a real proponent of public facilities that have that capacity. And then the building itself here has a lot of electronic pieces that you may or may not see over time, including fire suppression, hoping you never see that, fire warning. You also have the electronic access to the doors. So instead of just key access, now you have a card scan access to utilize the doors. That's good for staff and the public, gives a lot of flexibility, and really puts it up again into the modern standards. Yeah.
I know you're so excited about that because
it was a big deal.
Saying, I know,
but it's a lot of money. We're gonna put out the amount of approximately the amount of ADA cost, and I'm gonna guess ballpark, and I'm gonna guess it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $5 to $7 million, just the ADA.
Yeah.
And watch yourself going through here. We're gonna go out the back.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. So through this project, again, we opted to upgrade most of the infrastructure pieces of this building, and that included the heating and cooling systems. What you're seeing over here is substantial, but it's efficient, and it's going to make this building, if you've been in here in the past, too cold, too hot, too loud, all those things, we're putting it into that level of ability for people to use it and be comfortable using it. So that next 25 years, we should be good.
That's the big daddy.
That's it. That's the money. But we're not going to stick a window conditioner, air conditioner in there. We want this thing to be right and work properly. So we kept a lot of similar looks. You can even see the industrial walkway here, the stairs going up to the back of the kitchen. This is our service area, but it still retains the color and look of the rest of the building. You'll see some more of that as we walk about. How that looks stays the same. And then all the roofs you see, they're all matching. That was by design. So all the roofs match. We had existing roofs like the one on the clubhouse here, the one over on the amphitheater buildings. Those were there. The arts and crafts wasn't. We did that new. But we did these roofs to bring that cohesiveness in and make it look like it is. Most people won't recognize the cohesiveness and some of the other features we put into this facility to make it like it is, and like it was. So we're going to get this service area here for the back door, the facility, load, unload, and stuff like that. Over here on my right, this is the retaining wall that looks over the band shell and the bathroom. That retaining wall had failed. So the retaining wall all the way around this upper level here had failed. It was engineering, it was ready to come down. We had to take it all down, backfill, re-engineer it, and put it back up. That is a 50-year project, maybe 75, but it was failing. We would not have had the ability to utilize this facility back here because of the failed retaining wall. Also, back here on the clubhouse, right here in the corner, we had a water seepage that went down into the basement and came into our board conference room. Every time it rained really hard, we would get some water in there. To fix it, what we had done is put a sump pump down there. Okay, and so when it rained, we turned the sump pump on and we pumped the water out.
That's why it smelled.
Yeah, And obviously not a good choice, right? But it was a fix that we had to do. It was the only thing we could do because it was subterranean.
Right.
And to get to the subterranean would have been amazingly expensive. We had it opened up. So it's like, let's fix this. So we went in, we dug down a little lower, got down to the below the foundation, found basically a lake.
Wow.
That was underneath there. It would fill up to a certain level and then start seeping into the clubhouse.
That's why it had that smell.
Yeah.
I always notice.
And so we were able to fix that. Yeah. And now we actually put an assurance claim on it because it was during the heavy storms and it was a FEMA issue. Yeah. So we were able to claim on that foundation. When we dug down there, this is an interesting part too. We dug down there, there was part of this foundation that was actually propped up by 3 large boulders.
Oh no.
Yeah. And so for us to fix this whole thing, which we did, again, people don't see that, we had to go in and Surrey pump in the foundation around these boulders and reestablish it and secure it and put the right drainage in so the water will drain from that lake, basically this way, and I'm standing on a slight slope, you can't tell, and we have an exit point right over here and down below. So the water will exit out toward the tree and the grass and all the other things where it should go.
So it's a good thing you had this.
Yeah. But it was one of those expensive things.
Right.
And it actually, that increased the time on this project because we were in here on that piece for, we were in here for about 4 months working on that. Now it didn't increase it by 4 months, but that was about how long we were working on it. So I think it added 20 some days to the project. You know, and another little thing, and again, this isn't anything really attractive, is our garbage container here. Mm-hmm. We're required by code to have this enclosure. We can't just put a green dumpster up here.
Right.
You know, if we have a green dumpster, we've got to have this enclosure, and that's required. And so that's what we did. With that green dumpster, that width has to be a certain width so the truck can come up here, get the dumpster, dump it, and go back down. So this space here has to fit a certain requirement. And it's not as simple as just throwing in a green dumpster and saying good enough. You know, we've got to make sure it's right. And that is what we're required to do, and that's what we did. So we're looking at where the playground is going to go for the new facility. This playground, to me, is very exciting. I love the concept that we came up with behind it. It's not your typical playground. It's not swings and slides and merry-go-rounds and all those kinds of things like that. This is a playground that has a multi-function ability, and one of them is for kids to have fun. That's the most important function of it. And it has a 25-foot tower in here that they can climb. It is safe. Now people go, wow, 25 feet. It's designed to be safe. They're around the communities in different areas now, so it's been tested. It's a wonderful climbing thing. It'll have rope bridges. It will have some swings. It will have some slides, but it's all incorporated into this kind of adventure playground, if you will, something that creates play in different ways. And so if you're out here and the kids are having a great time, I guarantee you that adults that are active will go, I got to try that. I got to do that. That looks like fun. And to this side right here, we have a concrete slide on this hillside. Okay. And so that slide, as it gets worn in, will get faster and faster with a concrete slide. Well, it's better than plastic, because if you go down a plastic slide, what happens? Static electricity, all those other things that happen. This actually is almost like a metal slide after it gets broken in. Not quite as fast, but a nice, fun, adventurous slide. The whole slope here where the concrete is with the little bumps, this will have a playground surface on it. If you're familiar with that spongy playground surface, that's what this surface will be. This is the base right now of it. And then we'll tack in what's called a poured in place. And this whole hillside here will be a play surface. So you can come up these mounds. We'll have actually little climbing ropes that you can walk up, and you'll have open space. So you can basically play on this hill. And what kid doesn't like to play on a hill, right? And so now you get all these other activities going up on the hill. And so it works very, very well. I'm very excited about this playground. All the playgrounds over there in the box waiting to be installed. We got to get the poured in place first, and then we'll be starting to install the playground. It looks like that's going to happen sometime early this spring.
Is this going to be open, like they can roll down? If
they could roll down. I don't want to encourage too many crazy behaviors, but crazy behaviors will happen.
And then take the rope
and take the rope up, and so But yes, it's going to have all kinds of just fun ways for kids to have that creative play, and not that structured.
Like, I'm just gonna do
the little
this,
structured play handles that you go up and things like that. It's going to be a unique play surface and play area. We also put the bathrooms in down here. So we have 4 new bathrooms down here. That's a brand new building. Sewer, water, all that was never here before. Drinking fountain down there. That services are this side of the park, including concerts in the park. Remember when before you used to have to come in, use the outhouse, or come up here and go behind this building into a dark area, enter into the women's bathroom, and it was not a safe experience. And nobody liked it. So we abandoned those bathrooms and built them in a place where it made sense.
So it's right in the center.
Right in the center, playground.
You have your child, you can be right there at the door, and anybody can go in there, and they're not gonna, there's no one back in there waiting for you.
Nope, and it's all ADA again, that whole thing for the park. And so I don't think I don't think though we're gonna need porta potties for concerts in the park. We're still kind of looking at that, but I hope we don't have to put them into the parking area or anything like that. So I think the 4 bathrooms there should do it.
That should be
good. And we actually have 2 on the other side, so we're not that far from.
And they're going to be just like this?
They're a little different. Well, yeah, a little different bathrooms, but they will be open. So, and then throughout here, it's still grass, the place for concerts in the park. We will be starting concerts in the park this summer again. We've got a grant to start it back up. And so Arts in California Parks from California State Parks gave us $22,000, just over $22,000, to reestablish concerts in the park, to reconnect our community. And that was the intent behind the grant, was to reconnect our community because they've been not as connected for the last 5 years. So we wanted to give that opportunity to really come in strong as we go back into this again. So if you remember in the past, we had bench seating in here all the way around here. It's wood benches, a little hard on the bum. We rented cushions so you could kind of have, the Theater Association had cushions for $1, yeah. That kind of helped a little bit, better than just sitting on the wood. But the board decided after we got started, and it was the right move, and it wasn't their issue that we didn't do it, it was a financial issue, that we didn't replace the seating. But once we started working in here and we saw the bench seating, it really made sense for us to go heavy and look for some money to redo the seating. So we found additional funds to redo the seating. It's about $1 million component of this project. The reason why it's so expensive is I gotta go back to ADA again, that these grounds right here had to be ADA accessible once we touched the seating, once we had to demo it. So now we had to make this ADA. And not only did we have to make it ADA, but we had to make it safe. And for safety purposes, for an outdoor amphitheater doing shows at night, you needed aisle and seat lighting. That wasn't in here. So what you're seeing here now is the electrical work that we're doing to be able to light the aisles and the seats. And once that's all done, then we'll pour the concrete at the appropriate ADA type of stuff here, our levels, and then we'll get the seats. These are going to be individual seats, so there won't be a bench seat. We reduced the seat count. It used to be up to about 600. Well, 600 in here doesn't really work. It doesn't make sense to have 600 people in this smaller venue, nor does it work for the village because of the car parking. So it said, well, why don't we reduce the seating, make it more comfortable, and make it more appropriate for the actual village infrastructure and for the park as a whole. So it's reduced down to just over 400 seats. They'll have individual cup holders, which is great. You don't have to put the cup down in front of you. They'll be lit like they're supposed to be. The front 2 rows, where it's flatter down there in front of the stage, those front 2 rows will be removable. So we can take those seats out. Why do we want to do that? If you've ever been here during a tribute band type of concert, people go down there, or they stay up here, or they stay in the aisle and they dance. Well, it's kind of hard to do that, and it's not very good. So it's like, let's get the first 2 rows out. So if we have those kinds of things, we can take the seats out and people have a good place to get up there and enjoy the music. We really wanted to get that kind of play along type of thing. So that was important that we have that. And so we'll be putting these seats in. They might come in a little later. It looks like we're going to be into a May timeframe for delivery of those seats because they have to be built. You can't, again, buy these kinds of seats at Lowe's. So you buy them, and some of them are different widths. There's 3 different widths depending on the arch and things like that for the seating. The seating is laid out for sight lines. It's professionally laid out for sight lines. So you have good sight lines from every seat. Not quite full sight lines like you're on the far side. It's a little harder to look right and left. But going down the seating, you do have good sight and good vision. We did keep the concession stand, and we're renovating parts of it. You can see some of the electrical work, just a little bit there. That's a ton of electrical work for the lights, the sound, all the things like that are upgraded. I mentioned the $1 million. Part of that for the sound and lighting, audio, ancillary equipment is for this facility as well. So those things would be part of it. Being able to show the show to the back of the house, show the show to the ticket office, so they know what's going on and what's happening inside the facility. And we have that communication process too, where you can communicate from the back of the house to the ticket to the backstage, to the backstage, to the green rooms. It's a great system. It is all part of this process, and they've been working on that for months. When I talked about a little bit too out here was those little touches that we did to make this thing come together. And you can see right over here by the bathrooms, the little rock. If you'll look, we'll show some other places on that, but that rock is matching all of the other rock, including the front rock over by the front of the clubhouse, the old WPA wall. So we're gonna see that rock throughout the facility and in different places, as I talked about the tile roofs. And now if you look up here where these lights are coming in, those little tiles, those are matching. Those are matching color and look, including the little, the front facade there of the stage up high, just below the roof line. So those are all starting to kind of come together and look like it's something. Real important, I think, to have that cohesiveness in a facility. And so it feels like one unit. And that's what we really wanted. We wanted both parks, all the facilities, everything to feel like it was a collective unit. So instead of individual pieces. We're on the actual amphitheater stage, and this is the amphitheater where everybody's seated, and this is where the performances will happen. And they'll be projecting out that way. So it's still an amphitheater. People go, it's a big building. Is the amphitheater gone? It's like, no, it's not. It's right here.
Yeah, and look at this.
It's right here. And so this is the amphitheater itself. These doors here that you'll kind of with the blue tarp on them, these are airplane hangar doors. And they're designed to be opened and closed. So for security purposes, when we have a show in here and it's between shows, just close the door and the facility is secure. It's not an open stage where someone could maybe jump the fence and get in here and do bad things. So we're able to kind of keep this area secure throughout a performance or other times. And so it's really neat. And these are all mechanical, these doors. I'm going to go around. And they will open by a machine, but they're pretty easy to move. And so there's 4 panels on each side. In that case, we're doing something. There's 4 panels of these on each side. We can open the stage fully, all 4 open. 2 of them open, 3 of them open, 1 of them open. Why would we open 1? We put a back curtain here behind us, right here on the stage, and we do comedy. You don't need a full stage for comedy. You need to feel that intimacy. So you open it up maybe to 2 or 1, and you got your comedian here without a full stage.
This is awesome.
It really is cool. I mean, it's just amazing what we're going to be able to do in here and what kind of performances we're going to be able to provide for the community and the differences. This could work for a wedding. And then as we were in the clubhouse, you could have a wedding in here, dancing and dinner in the clubhouse.
I like it.
Yeah, you could have a high school graduation in here, small high school, but you could have all kinds of different things in here, not just the theatrical performances or not just a band. A variety of things can occur right here on this stage, looking out into the amphitheater.
So would the band be right here if we had the bands that come
for concerts in the park.
Well, not concerts in the
park.
No,
Concerts in the park will be outside. Yeah.
When we have the cover band.
The cover band. Yeah, more than likely. Yeah, more than likely.
Like right here.
Yeah, we'll probably open up the stage a little bit more because generally they're bigger.
Yeah, because
they're a bigger stage set.
We like to be all around.
Yeah, they like to be a little bigger stage set. So, but again, that flexibility is what's important here. But when we close these doors, here's the other cool part. In the winter months, like right now, we close these doors. This now becomes a performance facility, what we're standing in. We have seating for just under 200 in here. So we have risers and riser seating and portable stage. And that configuration can be a linear, let's just say the stage is down on this end here, and the seating's going up this way, or we have a center stage and the seating's spread out and going up on either side. So this space right here becomes a very usable space in those other months, and not just winter. What happens in the summer here? It gets hot.
It gets hot.
It gets really hot. What happens? It gets really hot. And there's times when this space isn't usable. This space will be usable. So it's air conditioned, it's heated, all those things is insulated. So now it becomes a facility that has multiple uses. And so we're excited about the opportunities in the black box. That's brand new for all of us. This is called the Black Box Theater.
Is that what this is?
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Once we close these doors.
So once it's closed, it's
the Black Box Theater. Yeah. And so, and even, I want to go back to the theatrical performances. If there's a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday type of show in here, and it's, let's say it's 2 weeks long, that still leaves us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, right? And so if we're going to require the theatrical performers to be able to have sets that they can push back. They'll just be on wheels, just push them back. And that allows us then to put the mid curtain in here and have the front part of the stage available for something else.
Yeah, and there was nothing back here before.
Yeah, yeah. And once you set the stage, it was set.
Yeah.
So
and we had to reuse it.
Yeah, you had to reuse it. So this gives us that flexibility. And again, we're going to require those theatrical performances. And that's not uncommon. It's very common for community theaters that have multi-use facilities. So we know that that's there. Again, the sound and lighting, we can, with all the grid pattern up here on the ceiling, we're able to do a variety of different sets with lights and everything like that. And this can actually be a is it a flyway? Is that what they call it? I think it's a flyway, where you can do a Peter Pan type of thing.
Yeah, you can put things on there and have it.
Yeah, so it has that kind of support, a bit availability to it. If you look over here on the door on this back wall, you'll see the tall door there. That's to the backstage. If you look to my right, straight across here, you'll see the same height and the same width approximately to that side. Those are for load in and load out. And I'll show more about that in a minute. But that allows us to get stuff in and out of this facility that's rather large. So we can do that by having these double doors of height and width, and also of turn radius. So that's not going to be a real pain in the tail end to move stuff in and out. So
you got yourself a bona fide theater.
Got ourselves a bona fide theater. Yeah. So we're in the backstage here, and the backstage is kind of neat because there's a lot of space back here for set storage. The black box seating storage that we talked about earlier, and it also allows for access to the stage for the performers. So they'll be able to get stage right, stage left, center stage, all those other things from this component here. And we'll go down and see the green rooms here in a bit. But this isn't where they dress. This isn't where they do the thing. This is where they get ready to go in. This is where the stage manager is. They're going through that thing. And again, I talked about that communication piece we have. We have a communication piece where we're able to really communicate across the board to everybody that's involved in these kinds of productions. So it'll be really fun, I think, for the performers and for the quality that it changes for the productions.
Right. So you remember before they would have the sound system and everything would be out in the open? Will that be backstage?
It's going to be. It's going to be up. It's up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's all up and kind of shooting down.
Down. So that you won't even see that.
Yeah. We hired a sound and lighting consultant. We hired a theater consultant, We hired a lighting consultant. All those things we utilized what we believe is the best in this area to give us that kind of input, what we should do, what we shouldn't do. And it was really important to do that because this is a once in a lifetime.
Right.
At least for some of us, it's a once in a lifetime. And we hope that gives the community that same feeling going, I am so proud of this facility. As a community, I want the community to say, we are so proud of this thing. We want to bring out of town guests. We want people to see and experience what we as Fair Oaks have as a resident. And I'm a resident here.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to bringing my family in and saying, look at this, come out here and see a show. This thing is great. Now, it's not going to be this regional production. It's not going to be 1,000 people. Max is 400. Right. And how often will we sell out? Maybe 1-2%. That's just how it works. Right. And that's okay. I'd rather see 200 people than 1,000 people. So this part of the facility itself, it really feels like it's part of the village. I mean, you're looking out over everything and it just seems like you're encompassed by the village. And I think with what we're doing here, we're going to hopefully create more vitality, more energy, more good things for the village. And it's going to feel that way. So 2 to 3 times more than what we had. We have a great village, right? It's a wonderful village. It's a great place to be. And we hope it's even more of that.
It's going to offer more opportunity for people to come here.
Yeah.
And with more people coming to the village, shops will stay open longer.
Exactly.
They'll do so much better in their businesses. And when you look out here, it'll just be all lit up and you'll see a lot of life.
Yeah, and there's market lights out here. Yeah. We'll be doing market lights out here in the plaza. Yeah. And so this is Plaza Village Park is what you're looking at. And that's the name of it. So it is the plaza of the village. It's the front yard. It's all of those things that we really want in a community where it feels like a home, even if it's the first time here.
Could it be like you could go get a meal somewhere and bring it to the village to eat?
Yeah. We want that very much so. We want you to walk across the street, get something, eat it here in the park.
And go get dessert down there and walk around.
And maybe we have a show out here on our outside stage.
Yeah.
And I expect most of these outside shows here on this stage to be free. They're just a little acoustic type of things.
Yeah.
And so they just come out here and enjoy it. You're walking by, there it is. You come in and go, man, Fair Oaks is a really cool place. I didn't know it was this cool.
And you can walk all around
the park. And then you see that playground and you see the possibility of the amphitheater, all those other things.
It's really a place you can bring your family and hang out. And it doesn't even have to cost you hardly anything just to come hang out in the village.
And even our shows, are affordable. Let's just say, I don't know the price point at this point, but let's just say they're $20. For outdoor performance show. Maybe they're 25. I don't know. Whatever they're going to be, but they're not going to be 150. That's not going to happen.
Like bring the family.
Yeah, bring the family now. Maybe we have a family rate. So all those things are being worked out, and they'll work out as we go. As I mentioned earlier, they'll be like, this is a work in progress. It's some clay.
It's going to inspire a lot more. Things you haven't even thought of yet.
Yeah. And we know some things for sure, like the theater, the Fair Oaks Theater Festival. We know they're doing shows in here, and so we know that. We know that we're going to do music here. We know that. What else? We'll find out. We'll find out as we go along. Some things we have ideas, like a film fest, things like that. A maker's market.
Maker's market would be excellent.
So those kinds of things. We think those will work. We think we can do them. And we may be right, we may be wrong, but it'll continue to evolve for the next 4 or 5 years as we continue to kind of feel this program and process out.
I think this is amazing.
I do too. These are the community rooms, what we're calling the community rooms, but they're also going to work for the green rooms, for the theater performances or for music or whatever. And they're actually 3 different rooms. You can see right up here, you can see the divider. Yeah, there's one divider there, one divider over there. We have 3 different doors, one to my left, the double door in the middle, and a far one to the right. And so you can access these rooms independently. So if, for an example, this was the male side, that was the female side. This is the common area for theatrical performance. So you can change. You can use the restroom. You can do all of those things. And once again, we have the communication capacity to talk to the rooms and say, hey, you're on in 2 or 3 or whatever you guys say in the theater. But get out there, hurry up. 5 minutes. That's probably something like that. But, we have sinks. in all sides. In the middle, we'll be able to do the makeup and all that other kind of stuff in here. When you're doing a performance, what we're going to ask the users for the performers is to stay on right or left, keeping the middle open. During the show, when they're running the show, they can use the middle. But during the community time, when it's not being a show, we can use this middle room for meetings, for classes, for whatever else. There's no bathroom here, but right around the corner there is. So we have access to bathrooms. We have everything we need here to use this as a community space, even during performances, not when the performances are actually happening, but in between shows. So it really has some flexibility. Or when we don't have anything going on with the theater, or where we need these green rooms, we can open the doors all the way up and have a big room, or 2 small rooms, or whatever we need to do, we can have those things. So this gets more community use as well, and not just as a changing room. So I think the community rooms with the flexibility of those is really nice, and it gives us some good things. We talked a little bit about using all of the facilities for something. Let's just say it's an art show, maybe a festival. Let's just say we're going to do the I don't know, the Oak Tree Festival, you know, and in Fair Oaks, we can use all of these facilities, and people just migrate between them. And so with that accessibility and everything else, it doesn't have to all be in one place, like a fairgrounds. It can be in multiple buildings, and you have this ability to do these kind of fun things that could happen.
Have their little passes.
Go
here and head out there. That
so you can use all those spaces, you know, and we have that full black box in the winter. You know, we have this space, we have the clubhouse, we have the arts and crafts building. You know, we have all of those things that can be used. And so it really opens up the door, you know, to almost an endless amount of things. And again, keeping them to the right size for the village. Not trying to,
because we can't overload the parking.
And not trying to be,
we're not the, what is it, the safe credit?
Safe credit, We're not that, you know. We're a small town. We're doing fun things, and we will have visitors. Oh, we want visitors. We want people to know Fair Oaks is a good place. But we want to primarily make it for the residents, of course. But we also want to say, welcome. You know, welcome to our town. And come out here and enjoy it and experience it. Maybe move here. If we got enough room for you.
I end up having people that are moving to this area, and I end up selling them on Fair Oaks because it's so beautiful. Like, we were coming here and I was like, the roads we were traveling, I was telling him that I like to take video of the roads because even their streets are different. They're different.
They are different.
We have hills, and we have curves, and it's different.
We don't have a 4-lane going through.
It's very, very different, and feels good. And some people are looking for that lifestyle. So it's very different, and they don't know because they're looking Sacramento, like where's
even look at Citrus Heights.
Citrus Heights. They're all unique in their own ways.
So a lot of this new building, basically, and its new power and everything else like that, right here on my right is the new power bank for this facility.
Wow, that's
and big. It isn't small. It's a large power bank. And so that had to be created for this facility. It didn't have that infrastructure like that. So now it's right-sized for the facility and for future use. And so we worked heavily with SMUD, again, to underground the power and to do all of these things to allow us to have the capacities to have a park for the next 50 years. So anyway, we talked also about the loading ramp and the loading dock, being able to get equipment in and out of this facility. We knew that was important, and we wanted to have that capacity to do that. And we talked about those double doors inside, being able to get stuff into the stage and the backstage. And we walked down the hallway, but this is the entrance point for all of the heavy equipment, or for just general loading and unloading. It goes out here to Park Avenue, and you can back right in here and load, unload, things like that.
So for bands and
bands
people
or
that come in with their stuff, they can just have a place to easily.
Just a great way of doing it. We're going to be repaving the road. You can look at the road there. It isn't going to support the work that's going to happen here in the next 10 years. So the road needs to be repaved. We're working on that. We hopefully will see that this spring, early this spring, if everything goes well. We have the plans. We have all of the curbing in so that we have something to button the road to. because before there was no curbing, and it was a lot of that gravel to road type of stuff that you'll see. And so this buttons it to the road and allows, I talked earlier about the stormwater, allows the stormwater to flow appropriately to the facilities that will drain. And so not just pool in someone's driveway like a neighbor. So we don't want that. Nobody wants that. So we want to make certain that our water is contained and going in the right direction. Again, that's pre-planning. That takes a lot of work, a lot of money, and a lot of time. It's stuff you don't notice and you don't see. And so it's real important for that. And then there's some more of our power systems there. This will all be stuccoed and redone, but it is right now just in its rough finishing position. So we'll step around to the front of the park. So we're in the front of Plaza Park. This is, again, I mentioned the front yard of the village. And this plaza area will have seating. It'll have bench, picnic type tables. They'll be movable. They'll be very heavy. It's going to take some work to move them, so we don't want people to steal them neither. But if they, hopefully no one ever does, but you'll be able to move them with 4 or 5 people. You'll be able to move them around. You'll also have market lights overhead, the little lights, the bulbs and stuff. Lights. Yeah. And this area here in the middle is actually going to be grass. So it will have that grass feel to it. It is a durable surface grass, so it is natural grass, but it has a subsurface that allows it to be used. And it's the same system that they use at the Washington Monument and the Capitol. So when they're using grass and stuff like that there, it gets a lot of abuse. You know, fire trucks drive on it, you know, emergency vehicles drive on it. This type of thing will allow that. It won't be the grass where you'll flop down and, you know, on your blanket. You'll have to kind of get down there a little slower because it's going to be a little stiff. You know, it's almost like an egg carton underneath the grass.
Because people do like to come out here and sit.
Yeah. And that'll be there. It's just not going to be the tumble around grass.
But they'll have the tables for people.
Yeah, they'll have tables and all those other things. And you can look at this space here and see how this could work for like a maker's market. And it has the lights, it has the seating. We can move the seating like I mentioned, so you can make this space configurable for a variety of different types of things. We've got the benches here, the concrete benches. They're around the park all over. These are great if you're coming into the park and there's something going on up here. All the chairs and seating's taken. You've got the benches. You can sit on these benches, and it really creates this "I'm welcome here" feeling. You know, that you can come here and I feel welcome. I can sit here, enjoy the park, enjoy the music, enjoy just being here. And it's not that far from being done. It looks like it is, but it's really not this part. And we don't finish it now because we're still doing so much work. These are the finishing things. These are the frosting on the cake. You know, you do all those things like that. You don't want to do it too early when you're still making the cake. You know, so we're almost to the frosting on the cake here, almost. So, and we talked about the looks, the rocks along the base of the building there. That same rock look. We talked about the tiles. We talked about the little panels right below the roof line, just below those lights there. And then all of the ironwork and stuff around here. There's some going up there around that arch. Those will be up there too. And so all that's tying this facility together. And those tiles there, if you remember the tiles inside the amphitheater that I showed you, the little tiles up above, that's the same tile. And so it has that cohesiveness that's really important. This is going to be a stage, and it's going to be more for those acoustic type of things, small performances, probably free, as I mentioned. But the most important thing, I think, for the stage is it's going to work for the Christmas tree. We designed it specifically for the village's Christmas tree. It's coming back here. We've got power there. Again, underground power, so we're not having to run an extension cord. We've got our power system. We got the ability to plug in small speakers and things like that for it, microphones. And so you can have these intimate feeling events, and we can really celebrate the village as a whole with this front porch stage.
And you still have room to have some people that have booths and things that they like to bring out the way we did before out there. And,
even more space.
And people can find other parking and Uber in or get dropped
I don't want to
off
talk about parking.
So I know.
I don't want to talk about parking.
We'll take that.
It's a pain in the tail. But the booths themselves, you know, they can even go in the center here, facing out toward the plaza area. So you can put booths in this middle and have them face out, and you still have path of travel. And so it makes a ton of space usable. And if you remember at Christmas time in here, I'm going to go back to that water retention, stormwater retention. If you walked out here during the past Christmas trees, and if it was wet, it was a mess. This, again, we're absorbing the water, containing it on site. It's drifting through these permeable paving areas. These are the same paving areas that we had in the parking. So this is a retention area that we're standing on.
And you can even have, you know how for the tree lighting, there's usually performances and things, so they can dance.
They can be right out here. Out here. Yeah, and we're talking about maybe getting a portable stage that we can set up if the Christmas tree's up there. It's gonna be a little crowded, but maybe putting a portable stage in that will work for that. Yeah, we're not there yet, but we're kind of still playing with it. Yeah, we want to see how much room we have once we put the tree in there. We think we know how much room, but it's all different when you get it in.
It'll be really good.
Yeah.
It'll be so much. I'm so glad we had Fair Oaks Park to put the tree in, but this
is way better.
Bring it home.
This is 100 times better.
This is where it belongs.
You know, and the other, you know, if we get it and if we do this right over time, you can see this building and the other buildings decorated well. If we decorate them well, again, it gets that energy and that flow and that vitality, all those things, that celebration spirit that we want for our community. And it's kind of the rising tide. You know, if we're putting the big tree in here and we got it all lit up nice, we got music going in here, that rising tide brings everybody else up with it. You know, and everybody else is going, oh my goodness, you know, I'm coming down to Fair Oaks on Wednesday night. You know, not on Friday night. I'm coming on Wednesday night. I'm coming on Tuesday night.
And it helps the restaurants and businesses put together something fun.
Yeah, and it just feels right. You know, it just feels right. So I'm excited to finish it up and get this thing going and starting to feel out how the public responds to it as we go.
I'm excited to just be standing here.
I am too. Every time I get here, I am.